And the thing Ari and I could not stop talking about last night was if you'd have asked us this last year, is Cam Ward going to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft? Like last year at this time, are you insane? And I'd say probably, well, we were at the Miami-Florida game week 1. I think we were pretty solidly in on Cam Ward as a high first-round prospect after that. But we wouldn't have said that guy. We were talking about Carson Beck at this time last year, who is in college again.
The number one battle when you have this conversation, Andy, isn't do you think somebody is good? Like, because that's not the conversation. Because, like, last year, we would have known that Cam Ward was going to be good.
We thought Cam Ward was good and that Cam Ward would get drafted for sure.
There's a huge separation between being good college player and being viewed as the number 1 draft prospect.
Right.
There are a lot of quarterbacks that I think you could make a case were every bit as effective or as good players in college that weren't drafted already that are still on the board.
Dylan Gabriel,
you could make a case was a better college quarterback than Shedeur Sanders.
And we don't know where he's going to get drafted. Like,
who do you think was a better college quarterback, Jackson Dart or Dylan Gabriel?
I mean, total body of work, probably Dylan Gabriel. But if I were running an NFL team, of course I'm taking Jackson Dart.
So that's the conversation here. It's like we're going to name all. I think we came up with the list. Andy has the list.
It's an extensive, exhaustive list. And you're going to laugh at some of these names. Like, why are you naming? But there's always somebody who has just an incredible year and winds up in the NFL.
You know who that person is? And I'm going to start it off right now.
Go for it.
The person that could be in this conversation a year from now that'll make you laugh right now is Miller Moss. Like it's the same thing with Tyler Shook is in the conversation right now, and it's like Miller Moss goes out, has a good year, he's got a big arm, he's a big kid. Like, that's somebody who can be in this conversation that you're not even thinking about as a player right now.
Yeah, because Miller Moss lost his starting job at USC in the middle of last season. He has gone to Louisville. He's going to work with Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom is a quarterback whisperer. Now Lincoln Riley is too. But look at what Jeff Brom did for Tyler Shook. Could he do the same thing for Miller Moss? Now, I'm not talking about first round, but Miller Moss going, into the NFL in the second or third round after a good year at Louisville is entirely possible.
But yeah, we're talking about first round though. What if he has a great year?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was some conversation.
I'll throw another name at you that, like, I think people will laugh at when I throw this name out there.
Let's do the funny ones.
Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Ty Simpson has not started for Alabama yet, but he's in the inside track to win the job, and he's been in college. This is his 4th year in college.
Here's another.
If he has a great year, because he has the measurables that you'd want.
Oh, yeah.
And so if he has a great year, then he's probably
Alabama
gone.
quarterback. Yeah. I don't know if that's. Want to hear a funny one? Okay. I see you're funny, and I'll raise you funny. You know who's eligible for the draft a year from now?
Who's that?
Jackson Arnold. You think that's funny?
I think most Oklahoma fans would say you're insane. I think most Auburn fans would say, wait a second. Wait, that means he'd be really good and we'd be really good. So, yeah, but wait, he'd be gone? Yeah, but you're right. If Jackson Arnold balls out at Auburn, if he has a great year at Auburn, he could go to the NFL next year.
And, like, also, too, the way that they're set up with Deuce Knight and the way that you could make it.
Might actually work out that
plan,
way.
But, like, the thing that is, and, like, again, that's not a prediction of... Yeah, he's going to be a first-round pick, so don't take it that way. But I think that you have to start viewing this, and when it kind of
let's throw out the guy that we both think. There's a couple of guys, but the one we both think will be a very high draft pick next year, even though he doesn't have to leave college next year, is Arch Manning.
Heavy favorite.
Yeah.
Heavy favorite. Probably the. I mean, listen, with him, he's big. He's got a big arm. He can move. He plays for Texas, and his last name is Manning. Like, he is like the number 1 overall pick, like built up.
Producer River, play the Matthew Golden clip about Arch Manning.
Yeah, here's what Matthew Golden said. Tell us about Arch.
Oh my God. Yeah, man.
Because people are dying to know, and you would know.
That's a true dog, man. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do this year. The ball is in his court, and he's going to take over. He's a leader on and off the field, man, and he's the same guy every day. The sky is the limit for him. I mean, he could do whatever he wants to do if he put his mind to it. So I'm really excited for him.
Did you have those same questions? Because he was already there when you got there.
Yeah.
Did you wonder, like, who is this guy?
The most hyped prospect of all time.
I asked him, I'm like, I heard about him, you know, but once I got up there, you know, me and Arch, we talked a lot. And I started to watch him at practice, man, and I knew he was special, you know. He don't act like a regular freshman, you know. He act like he been in college for 3 years. And for me, you know, that's somebody you can put your trust in, definitely, and build behind. So I feel like for him, man, it's gonna be a ride for him. It's gonna be cool.
That's Matthew Golden on Arch Manning. He's a dog. See, there you go. Matthew Golden, the newest Green Bay Packer. He'll be playing back here at Lambeau Field. But he probably won't be catching passes from Arch Manning because Arch Manning not going to be going to the Packers. They got Jordan Love. But here's the list. So Arch Manning is an easy one, even though he doesn't have to go pro. Drew Allar from Penn State.
Obviously.
The measurables, they're going to love that. He needs to have a better year.
Wonder if he'll move a lot more, run a lot more this year, maybe play the way he did in the Big Ten title game in the regular season. Like, he has a shot. Okay.
South Carolina QB Lanorris Sellers will be draft eligible. Obviously won't have to go anywhere. But I feel like we only saw a little bit of what he can do last year, and his ceiling is much higher. And this guy's a freak. He's 6'3", 240.
Yeah.
Huge arm. So
he'll test off the charts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cade Klubnik at Clemson. I actually think Cade Klubnik can play his way into a pretty high draft pick. Now, I don't know. He's not as big as some of these other guys that we're talking about, but he runs really well, and he has developed as a quarterback over the course of his career where you see him doing things now that he couldn't do when he first became a starter. And sometimes these guys do need time. And so I could see Cade Klubnik playing his way into that level. And then one more kind of obvious one is Garrett Nussmeier.
Garrett Nussmeier is an obvious one that somehow gets forgotten every single time we talk about this, and I'm happy that we didn't forget.
I mean, his dad's an NFL QB coach, for goodness sake, but that's not why.
Garrett Nussmeier does not get his fair share of off-season quarterback discourse. Like, it's a fact. Like,
Garrett Nussmeier is a really good quarterback for LSU. He waited his turn. He has developed over the years. Now, a lot of it was he had to spend that time behind Jaden Daniels, but you saw him playing last year, and he should have better talent around him this year, we think, because of what LSU's done in the portal. Now, obviously, we don't know about the offensive line because they do lose Will Campbell, who was a first-round draft pick last night at offensive tackle. But, yeah, Nussmeier's another obvious one. But let's go down
fun ones.
This list is we went nuts. So we're not saying that these guys are going to be first-round draft picks or even draft picks in the NFL. It's just that you do not know going into a college football season who's going to blow up and who's not. So, Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. John Mateer from Oklahoma. And we've said, you and I have said, we're big John Mateer believers. And if he comes in and saves Oklahoma and they turn into a really competitive program in the SEC, there's a really good chance John Mateer is a high draft pick, because everything you liked about Cam Ward, who went from Washington State to Miami, John Mateer played in that same offense at Washington State.
John Mateer is like high-flying, throw-off platform.
Yeah.
Like crazy arm angles, move the chain with his legs kind of player, and I don't think people realize that.
Learned a little bit sitting behind Cam Ward for a year.
The things you could learn anyway.
Exactly. Gunnar Stockton will be draft eligible. Yep. What if he has a huge year at Georgia?
And I also think, too, that people like Ty Simpson and Gunnar Stockton start 3 or 4 steps down the path because they're already like living in an inherent advantage with the talent around them and the teams are playing for.
Speaking of Georgia quarterbacks, he's no longer a Georgia quarterback, but he's still in college. Carson Beck, the guy we talked about as a potential QB1 in this draft this time last year, he's at Miami coming off elbow surgery. But if he has a great year, then all of the things that we said last year can still be true.
Yep, absolutely. And, critical season, obviously, for him, final year, coming off of a major injury, but I think Miami always has the ability to put up some points. They should have a pretty good offensive line, and they got some good skill position players, and
so
JoJo Trader and those guys.
In the vein of people who will be surrounded by a lot of talent, who will be draft eligible after this season, this is another one you're going to go, wait a second, we've barely seen him. Dante Moore at Oregon.
Right. And you don't think that if Dante Moore goes out and shows, incredible production, but also because Dante Moore has better measurables in terms of like physicality than Dylan Gabriel does.
Oh, of course.
Like, he's just a bigger, stronger kid. And like, I think people view like Oregon as a stat, like a stat factory where, you know, the production doesn't necessarily indicative of what you would project to as an NFL player, but I think that Dante Moore, has a different background, obviously a 5-star prospect with a big body and a big arm.
How about Avery Johnson at Kansas State?
I was listening to a clip, Andy, and this is maybe a segment for another day, but, my guys at Kings of the North, they think that the Northern quarterbacks in the conversation nationally are like being disrespectful, obviously. But that Avery Johnson belonged in top 10 lists because like me, you, Tom Fornelli, some other guys.
I think my projection of what Avery Johnson could be before last season would have put him on those lists.
Yeah.
But what the production we saw out of him was not what we expected.
But Avery Johnson is a freak of nature physically too.
Yes.
So like
he's another one who'll test really well.
Whenever you have somebody who's going to test well, like it made me wonder, like, hey, did we not give him?
But that's the thing. If he, and it might just be that sometimes guys need to experience it for a year, and then that between year 1 and year 2 as a starter, they make that big jump. If Avery Johnson does that at Kansas State this year, and Kansas State dominates in the Big 12, absolutely
gotta unlock it a little bit.
Yeah. Let me give you one. You ready?
Yeah.
We could not make it through a show without mentioning this person's name. Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's got short or lost his length in the last 2 weeks.
Or his arm got weaker.
Yeah. Like he doesn't know how to throw it anymore.
His arm is very strong still.
Yeah. I don't even think that UCLA has to be particularly good. I think he has to be productive and he has to lift his team. But if he has a really good year and makes them exciting, then, I think that he is the perfect type of prospect that an NFL person will talk themselves into.
Now, I do think what happened at Tennessee is going to hurt him in the draft process.
Like going back to the character issues, like where does that fall under character issues?
Well, and I wonder if, because the NFL people know what happened. Like, it's one thing for us to say it. If some NFL GM like John Lynch or some, whoever, I don't know if the 49ers would need to
called both sides.
Called Nico up and said, "Hey, tell your dad to shut up. We're not talking to him. Get a real agent and we'll look at you differently." I think that may work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also too, like we don't know what Nico feels in terms of, does he feel like he's in a worse position? Like how kids are like,
oh yeah.
You know what the craziest thing is that like, even if you just picture a non-athlete who, like for me, like after my sophomore year at Arizona, if like my dad did something that caused me to have to transfer to UCLA, like that would have ruined my life.
I'm imagining, I'm imagining Bob Wasserman forcing Ari out of the University of Arizona right now.
If Nico wasn't 100% bought in on the opt-out and he's out in California, like he probably, like by all accounts, everything I've ever read about him in terms of his experience in Knoxville and how he got along with his teammates and everything was positive.
Good relationships.
Like he was a bad dude or having a bad time. So, and you know how there's still 19, 18-year-old kids who are like meeting girls and making their best friends. All my best friends are from my dorm room, dorm hall freshmen.
But NFL GMs and NFL coaches probably get a different response.
But it's like now you want to get paid and you want to be a pro, or do you want to be a you want to
do this or not? And I think you're going to get a different response when those people are saying it. So, look, we've said this all along. We think the plan for Nico has always been 3 years and out. And I would bet it would take a pretty bad year at UCLA to sidetrack that plan. I think if he's pretty good at UCLA, that we're talking about him in the draft process next year.
But I love that let us know what you guys think, too, of some of the names that we brought up. And maybe we're missing one, because we did get a little bit off the rails here.
Oh, I wasn't even done with the list.
You're not done. Oh, okay, go. Keep
Talon Green.
Oh, yeah, Talon Green.
Noah Fifita.
Haynes King.
Like,
Zach Calzada.
Yes. By the way, if you didn't know, Zach Calzada, who was at A&M, then was at Auburn, has been at Incarnate Word, where Cam Ward started. He's going to be Kentucky's quarterback this year.
That was kind of a joke. I just wanted to say it because I wanted to remind you that Zach Calzada is Kentucky's quarterback this year.
Which I had memory hold that from the December transfer portal. And then last week was going through some stuff.
What about Luke Altmaier? We didn't put him on the list.
Oh, God, Luke Altmaier.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
I was running through my brain. So, guys, just a little inside baseball here. It's raining. It's freezing. My fingers are blue. We don't have lists. Like this is all like from our heads.
memory. So sorry, Luke Altmaier,
but Luke
you're
Altmaier
definitely on this list.
Yeah,
definitely a potential first rounder if you play really well this year. And you heard Brett Bielema say that he was asked how worried he had been during the transfer portal if Luke Altmaier would leave. 0.0%. He went Dean Wormer on it.
That's good.
He always knew. Zero.
He always knew he had his guy. But Luke Altmaier is somebody who a lot of eyeballs are going to be on this year, and I wanted to make sure that we had. And if we forgot somebody else that's like Luke, it's unintentional. It's freezing.